Hello. I'm here to start up a YouTube channel on Axis and Allies gaming, similar games and World War II. I threw in World War II because most people who play Axis and Allies are also into the history aspect of the time period associated with AA. The two main purposes for this channel is to play Axis and Allies via YouTube as a game or in the rumored BBR YouTube leak, and to promote house rules or customizations. While I play and enjoy the out-of-box rule set of Global 40 at various locations around the Kansas City metro area, it is playing the G40 version with house rules that is my favorite pastime. You may be wondering, who is this dude and why should I listen to anything he has to say? That would be a valid point. Well, I'm nobody really, just a big fan of Axis and Allies. I went out to LA last fall for Sired Blood's Bloodbath tournament, which was my first experience with the competitive format for gaming. It was a blast. 3 full days of gaming and a great group of guys who also love Axis and Allies just as much as I do. I've been around the AA community for quite some time in various areas, from comments and such on other YouTubers' channel, Patreon, and even the AA forum. To a lesser degree on the forum, as that has mostly been used for research on house rules. However, I did find the local Axis and Allies group for local games in the Find Players section. However, I pretty much stick to the house rules and Global 40 sections. I have tipped my hat to Mr. Jensen for keeping that site running, as it is a lot of work on his part. 3 of my favorite Global 40 house-ruled games in no particular order that I have played up to this point are Ostia's Global 41 setup on the out-of-box map and Young Grasshopper's Deluxe Global 40 version on its own custom map, both of which can be found on the AA.org forum. The third one is Sired Blood's version, BBR, which the details can be found on his YouTube channel and was unveiled at the Bloodbath tournament last fall. I was fortunate to play the BBR version 2.0 earlier this year and am looking forward to. Oh crap.
Yeah, I had to unplug that. That wasn't going to work. What else isn't working is my camera. I'm using a digital SLR to record all this. For some reason it's just randomly shutting off. And I've recorded this several times, so I'm going to have to do it in smaller increments and stitch it all together. And that's my disclaimer, so bear with me. Where do we start? Most guys my age, the game we started with was Risk. I don't recall, I got it for a Christmas present one year. I'm in high school, junior high, somewhere in there, and you know, of course that was the game, the board game that a lot of the kids were playing at the time. Risk was just a game of 1s, 3s, 5s, 10s in Roman numerals of plastic, and that was the greatest thing ever, in a world map. And we had many good games. Lots of kids that would come over, and we would go to other houses and play, and it was just fun time. And then graduation comes along in the 80s. I didn't go to college right away, but I did shortly after. That would be the dog barking. Thank you. Thanks for barking, dog. Probably barking at me. Anyway, college comes along. Of course, Risk is still pretty big, but another game comes out. Yes, Axis and Allies, and this is the original game, just the box lid. I didn't want to pick the game on its side. And when that came out, not all of the people that I played Risk with wanted to play it, but some did. So now we've got Risk nights, we've got Axis and Allies nights. It kind of went on for a while. I got a part-time job, in college, and from there was some more people that played Risk, and some more that wanted to play Axis and Allies. And we really, board games was kind of big back then. There wasn't the Nintendos. I don't think Atari 2600, that's what it was. Atari 2600 came out. That was the big deal. but not everybody had that. I mean, not like today where you've got an Xbox in just about every TV. So in the college years, we had the groups that played, and then as college was winding down, you know, you're getting jobs, you're getting married, you're moving all over the country. Some of my friends joined the military, different branches of the military, and it just kind of fizzled out. I mean, down to the last two guys, and then one of the guy's brothers. So we had three guys that would play Axis and Allies there for a little bit, and then he finally moved away. So two significant events that occurred in the college years. First one in order of appearance, Jesus Christ became my Lord and Savior. And I'll do a video on that, like a testimony video, but there'll be some warnings there, so you know those who don't want to watch that don't have to. The second one is where I met my wife. A mutual friend that worked at the same location. You know, she contacted me and says, "Hey, I know a girl that maybe you know would you be interested in going out on a blind date?" It's like, well, okay, I can do that. And we went out and hit it right off. She's a gamer, loves football. We would go. She had a part-time job at the apartment, complex, the clubhouse, where she lived, and she worked there 1 or 2 nights a week, and I would hang out there, just trying to get to know her, and we would be watching football on Sundays or Mondays, if that was the case, and we would always be, playing, a card game or Yahtzee or those kind of games, something you could leave if someone came in and, needed some help. But it was usually pretty dead when she was working there. So we got to spend, probably, I don't know, the whole year and a half that we were together before we got married. That was kind of a ritual, So to give you an example of how amazing she is, on her 20th anniversary, I said, "Hey, let's go to Hawaii. We'll leave the kids with the grandparents. Let's go to Hawaii, just you and I. We'll go, to a couple islands, and of course, we're going to Hawaii. And anyone that's familiar with World War II knows about Pearl Harbor." So I said, "Hey, we're here. We're in Hawaii. How about we just go over there for the morning and see what's up?" And she was good with that. So I thought, yes, that's pretty cool. So we go over there. We get there when it opens because we thought, well, we'll beat the crowd and we'll get in and out. And then as you can see from the picture, I'm sort of a model geek, and we grew up making models and dioramas that were in model shops and hobby shops was just the greatest thing ever. And of course we walk in there and here's this Japanese carrier, and I wish I could remember which one it was, but it's got all these planes on it, and of course I'm looking at it and it's like, oh my gosh, this is great. And she goes, "Let me get a picture." So she goes on the other side of the glass. Well, then I start to ham it up, of course, but and you can tell in the photo. So we're doing that, and we're doing here. We go through the museum. We go to the USS Arizona Memorial. We go across onto Ford Island, and we go to the USS Missouri. We go all over, take the battleship tour. We go over to the hangar, and the planes that are in there. There's a P-40 Flying Tiger, which was to me it was like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. Before you know it, we haven't eaten lunch, and it's getting to be about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. So my little morning excursion went on all day, and not a complaint at all. I think she by now, after 20 years of marriage, she knows that, World War II is kind of cool. I'm a history guy. It's not just World War II, but so that was pretty amazing to me that she would spend all day, at Pearl Harbor, which, wow. So reciprocally, on the 25th anniversary, she surprises me with this place called Ride a Tank. And she pays for and surprises me with that. We go up there and I get to drive a tank. Yes, driving a tank, that was cool. Got to drive an armored personnel carrier. That was neat. We got to drive, when I drove that one, it was just through the periscope, so you're just kind of looking, and that's a hard to see. The tank I got to drive with my head out the hatch, so that was a lot easier. And then there was some machine guns they had that they could fire. So for one price, I drove a tank, drove an APC, fired 4 machine guns, 3 of them World War II vintage machine guns. The other thing you'll notice in the picture is the 2 gentlemen riding in the tank with me. Those will be my sons, and they got to go along. Of course, they're thrilled to death to ride in a tank. And the APC, they got to ride in the back. That probably wasn't as fun because they couldn't see anything, but we rode in a deuce-and-a-half truck on the trail out, to the grounds where they would drive the vehicles. They did not get to shoot the machine guns. They were disappointed on that, but they got to watch. There was a glass enclosure right behind, where I was shooting, and so they got to watch and hear, and that'll have to be enough for now. So when the kids come along, by then, all my friends that have played Axis and Allies they've moved on, and the Axis and Allies game is on the shelf and in the closet, with some other games, and they're, you put them in storage, and there it sits for 10 or so years, and the kids are older now, and of course they're always looking at stuff, and their curiosity, and what's this game, and they pop the lid off, and of course immediately they want to play that. It's probably still a little bit much for their age, so we break out the Risk game, we play that. Of course they love that. My wife buys me a more modern version of Risk that it's anniversary edition, and it has the little soldiers and cannons and cavalry instead of the plastic pieces, and that's pretty cool. They love that even more. And as they get older, then we break out the Axis and Allies, and it starts with the classic game, because that's pretty much all we had. And they loved it. I loved it. I'm playing again and teaching them how to play, and it's just fun. So about 6 or 7 years ago, my friend's coming back in town, and he was one of the friends that we played Axis and Allies, in the younger days in the 80s, and he's coming back in town to visit his mom and family here, and his wife calls, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before they get here, and says, "Hey, I want to surprise him with a game of Axis and Allies, because he talks about the old days when you guys played, and I want you and your sons and him and his sons to get together and play a game." So we show up over there, I think it was just a Saturday night, and we show up, and my wife comes too, and it's kind of a big party, and of course I come in with the Axis and Allies game, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going to do this. This is great." He's really surprised. So we play the game, through the night, and it's a long game, especially with the younger kids, but we're still having fun. And the night's over, and we're cleaning up the game, and he says, I've seen this version online that's got a really huge map. Have you seen that one? And of course I'm oblivious, because all I know is that there's classic, and that's what we've been playing. I had no idea there was different versions. So the next day I get online and I look up and it's like, oh, Battle of the Bulge, Guadalcanal, what was it, 42? There was an anniversary edition, which, you know, if you had hundreds of dollars you could buy because it wasn't, you know, available anymore other than eBay, and people were charging an arm and a leg for that. But there was Europe and Pacific, and you put the two together for the global. And it's like, that's what he's talking about. So I immediately I ordered, you know, one of each, and in the meantime, while it was being shipped here, I built a table that basically just a tabletop that goes on top of a hockey game that we had, so we can pull it off when we need to and put it on, you know, for playing games. And of course the kids think, oh great, this is a gaming table, I love that idea, so they're fired up about that. And then I dropped the surprise on them. I put it all in one big box and I set it there, and of course they open it up and they're like, it says Axis and Allies, and they say, ooh, it's a two, you know, and I explained, you put the two games together, and of course they open it up and, you know, they're just amazed because the sculpts are all German tanks, British tanks, Russian tanks. So I mean, they're specific to the countries instead of the way the classic is all just one, you know, one tank for everybody. And you know, they've been around me long enough that they know that the difference between German and American tanks, and which, you know, is kind of cool. I mean, they love history, I think, as much as I do. I think one of them loves it maybe more than I do. The other one a little less, but they were excited, and, you know, we got playing from there. So we played that for a while, and it was just, you know, we had fun reading and going online to, you know, AA.org and watching videos on strategy and on YouTube. And my son, my youngest son, he's watching videos about strategies, and I see the strategies that I've watched, you know, maybe, you know, a month or two ago, and now he's like pulling those out of the hat, and him and both my sons are ganging up on me with this, you know, strategy they've seen. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. So they're learning, they're going, they're having a good time, and we've got some of their friends that come over, and we're introducing them to Axis and Allies. I've got some nephews that play now, so we've got quite a group of kids that play, which is kind of nice. And after a while, I'm on AxisandAllies.org, and I look at the house rules mainly, and then the Global 40 rules, you know, and just for, like, you know, discussion and anything new, because we're adding little things in our own game, you know, just some easy things. You know, we'll buy, I think the first thing we added was the mobile artillery, and we bought those from HBG, and it was a simple ad, and from there it's just kind of grown as far as what we've added here. And then, like I said, I was on that site, and there was a find player section, and there was a new posting for players in Kansas City, and I thought, oh, I'll just type in there and leave a message, and, you know, see what's going on here. And I can't remember if it was that night or the next day, one of the guys from that group, you know, messaged me back, and we went, you know, hey, come on out, we got a game this Saturday at a local game shop. So we went out there and played, and you know, from there it's like, okay, well, now I got two groups. I got a group around town, which has kind of grown. I mean, not everyone plays all the time, but, you know, it's somewhere in that 10 to 12 range, you know, of guys that'll play, you know, throughout the year. There's probably about 6 of us maybe that are the regulars. So that's about half, which isn't too bad. Thanks for watching, and if you liked what you saw, go ahead and subscribe, leave some comments. If you don't like, you know, what you saw, leave me a message anyway. Let me know what you didn't like, but make sure you leave your contact info. I'll send you a link to some YouTubers that I think you'll like. They do amazing things with quilts. You know, these ladies can really throw down some patterns, and I think that'll be right up your alley. Till next time, roll away. Oh, still here. Cool. Well, what I'm going to do is basically what I said in the beginning of the video. A lot of the videos that I'll put up here will be house rules, variations, deluxe game, BBR, a lot of stuff like that. There'll be a YouTube wars. I believe there's a thought of having a YouTube BBR tournament one-on-one, and I don't know if that's going to make it or not, but at least it's being talked about, and I'll try and be in that for sure. And I've got some videos that I've shot over the last year and a half when I was kind of debating whether I want to do this or not. I didn't know if they were any good. I rework them, see if they're worth it. I might put those out as well, but we'll move on from there. Right now, though, I have to get back to my preparations for the BBR coming up here next weekend, and Hambone's preparations for victory. The code name would be Preparation H, and I've got to get back to this right now, so I will see you later. No, you're not going to watch.